There is a specific moment, and if you're the kind of person who watches videos like this one, you already know it. It happens right after you say something in a conversation, when the words are already out and you can't take them back, and a second voice in your head immediately starts replaying it. Slower, sharper, asking why you said it that way, what it meant, whether the other person noticed the half-second pause before you spoke. Most people don't have that second voice, or if they do, it's quiet. Yours has never once stayed quiet. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that voice is, why it exists, and why the thing you've spent your whole life trying to switch off might be the single most valuable part of your entire mind. Here's the first thing almost nobody tells you. That feeling of processing the world one layer deeper than everyone around you isn't a personality quirk. It's a measurable pattern in how certain brains filter incoming information. Most people react. A smaller group interprets, then reacts, then quietly asks why they reacted that way in the first place. That third step, the self-interrogation, is where everything starts to diverge, and once you notice it in yourself, you start noticing it everywhere else too. In the friend who apologizes for asking too many questions. In the coworker who stays quiet in meetings, not because they have nothing to say, but because they're still 3 steps ahead in the conversation nobody else has caught up to yet. But here's what should actually unsettle you. That gap between reacting and interpreting isn't fixed. It stretches and shrinks depending on something most people never think to check, and once you know what that something is, you'll start seeing it everywhere. If you've ever quietly wondered why your mind seems to work differently, subscribe. Every week we explore the hidden psychology behind thoughts and behaviors most people never notice. Now here's where it gets stranger. That same overthinking you've been told to fix might actually be the byproduct of something Carl Jung spent years trying to describe. A kind of internal committee that never stops meeting. Jung noticed that certain people don't just experience an event, they experience their experience of the event, layered like glass. It also explains why you remember conversations from years ago in exact detail while other people barely remember what they had for lunch yesterday. Your brain isn't broken, it's archiving. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If your mind really is keeping every file open, what is it actually waiting for? That question has an answer, and it's not what you'd expect. When your mind won't stop replaying a conversation, searching for the sentence you should have said differently, that isn't anxiety in the way people usually mean it. It's a pattern completion system that refuses to close an open file. Most brains file things away as done. Yours keeps the folder open, waiting for a piece that fits. That's why closure feels different for you. Other people move on. You need the story to actually resolve. And here's what most people never realize. That same trait, the one that makes small talk exhausting, is the exact trait responsible for your best ideas. The connections that arrive at 2 a.m. The solution to a problem you weren't even actively thinking about. That's a brain that never fully stops working in the background, quietly cross-referencing everything it has ever absorbed. The tiredness you feel isn't weakness. It's the cost of running a mind that refuses to idle. If this feels like something you've experienced, share it in the comments. Someone reading your story may finally understand something they've struggled to explain for years. Here's the next sign, and it's the one people misread the most. You feel emotions belonging to other people almost as intensely as your own. Not sympathy, something closer to absorption. You walk into a tense room and your body reacts before your mind even identifies why. For years, you may have called this being too sensitive. Psychologists call it something closer to high interoceptive awareness, a nervous system that reads the emotional temperature of a room the way other people read a thermostat. It's not a weakness you need to manage. It's a form of data collection most people simply don't have access to. But data collection has a cost, and the cost is hiding in a habit you've probably never noticed you have. The people who feel the most also tend to hide it the most convincingly. You've likely built an entire public version of yourself that seems calm, composed, even unreadable, while privately running a constant emotional weather report no one else can see. You didn't build that composure by accident. You built it because you learned, early, that most people can't hold what you feel without flinching. which means the calm version of you that everyone else sees was never actually the real one. So who is? Because none of these traits, the layered thinking, the archived memories, the emotional absorption, are actually separate. They're symptoms of a single underlying pattern, a nervous system tuned for depth over speed. Most environments reward speed. School rewards fast answers. Small talk rewards quick, easy responses. Social media rewards instant reactions. None of that was ever built for a mind like yours, which is precisely why you've spent so long feeling like something was wrong with you, when the truth was simpler and stranger. You were never behind, you were just built for a different pace entirely. But that raises the real question this video has been circling since the first sentence. If you were built for depth, why does the world keep punishing you for using it? There's one more sign worth naming, because it shapes almost every relationship you've ever had. You don't just want connection, you want accurate connection, being known correctly, not just liked. You can be in a room full of people who like you and still feel completely alone, because none of them have met the version of you that exists underneath the composed surface. That's a mind that has learned the difference between being seen and being understood, and refuses to settle for the first one pretending to be the second. Once you understand that, something shifts. You stop apologizing for needing time to think before you speak. You stop mistaking your depth for social failure. You choose relationships with people who don't need you to perform lightness you don't feel. You handle criticism differently too, no longer collapsing into it, but quietly asking whether it's actually true before deciding what to do with it. That's not confidence people teach in courses. That's the quiet, earned kind that comes from finally understanding your own operating system, the one who no longer over-explains a decision that was already right, the one who can sit in silence without needing to fill it. If you're committed to becoming this version of yourself, subscribe and join a community of people who are choosing depth over conformity. Maybe the strangest realization of all is this: the very traits you spent years trying to hide, the overthinking, the deep feeling, the need for things to make sense before you can let them go, were never the problem to solve. They were the instructions you were never given. A mind built for depth will always feel foreign in a world addicted to speed, but it will also see what the speed misses. And the second voice you heard at the very beginning of this video, the one that never stays quiet, was never trying to torment you. It was trying to tell you something, this entire time, that you were finally ready to hear. Which part of this felt like something you've been living without having the words for? Share it in the comments below. Your experience may be exactly what someone else needs to hear.